still need my fan.
Okay.
The laughter.
Yeah.
Elevated.
We're on.
Welcome back. Virginia This Morning is live right here on CBS 6. Here's an interesting reveal to a recent pre-pandemic study.
Okay.
64% of Americans don't have enough time to take care of themselves. And with work days almost 2.5 hours longer, finding you time can be a bit more challenging. Our next guest is eager to share 4 ways that you can create more time in your day.
Did you say 64?
Yes.
I would think it was like 94. Who has time? Oh,
here we go.
have time.
We do, thanks to
for
Mitchell.
There he is now. A great friend of the show, award-winning executive coach Mitchell Creasy returns to share some insight, and happy to have him back as always. Good to see you, buddy.
So good to see you, Bill. So good to see you, Jess.
We are super excited to talk about this, and it's funny. Your timing is impeccable. I have just been spinning like a top all week, and was thinking that this morning, like, I'm not moving fast enough. I gotta do this thing. So let's not waste any more of the time we have. What are your tips?
What's tip number 1?
So the first thing we want to do is bridge to no. So for those of us who feel like we have a responsibility to say yes to everything and everyone, we know it takes up a lot of our time, but saying no can feel scary. So instead, let's start by trying to understand why it is we're saying yes. Ask yourself, what do I get out of saying yes even when I don't want to? Or what do I believe will happen if I say no? Or what do I think about people who only do what they want? When I understand why it is I'm saying yes, saying no starts to become so much easier. And the result is more time for you.
So you got to think about why you're doing it for a minute or two, figure that out, and then you're ready to move on to lesson number 2, letting it go. Is that right?
You got it. So I was working with a music producer, and they told me that when their artists ask for one more take, they ask the artist, is this going to make the track 90% better? And the artist usually says no. And the producer would say, well, then it's not worth the extra 10% of your time and effort. We can spend forever polishing, improving, editing our work. But when we trust that both we and it are good enough and let it go, all of that extra time for work starts to become extra time for us.
So if you nailed it, you nailed it. And doing it 10 more times is not going to change that.
Yes, that makes sense. That makes sense. And then focus, if there is something that practice makes perfect, maybe let it go that time. Next time, remember the lesson and come back and refine. Maybe it doesn't have to be all in one sitting.
My high school basketball coach said practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. If you practice it wrong, you're done. Next. What's next, Mitchell?
Speaking of basketball games.
Yeah. Well, speaking of basketball games, we always want to begin with a win, especially if we're lacking a little bit of confidence right now. It is always important to begin with a win. I'm not talking about closing $1 million deal or getting engaged, although those are wonderful things, but rather the joy that occurs when we say yes to ourselves. Going to the bathroom before going into your screaming baby's room in the middle of the night. That one I know from experience right now. Reading a page of your book before you start your day. Getting a pedicure on your way home from the office, just because when we say yes to ourselves, we bless ourselves, and it's that increase in energy that allows us to do 4 things in the time it usually takes to do 1, leaving us with more time for ourselves at the end of the day.
It's interesting. It's good. Creating that good headspace to tackle the toughness.
It's going to make it the whole day a lot better.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so now we've done all of these things. We built a bridge to no, we let it go, we begin with a win. How are we going to wrap this up, Mitchell?
We want to master the moment. So if you still feel, just like today, if you still feel like you're going 100 miles an hour with your hair on fire, it is time to master the moment. So as you go through your to-do list, you're going to take your attention and you're going to rest it in one of 2 spots. Inside your body, say in like your chest or your stomach, or the space just in front of your body, the air in front of your chest and stomach. And you're going to keep it there as long as you can. So when you remove your attention from the merry-go-round in your head, you start to become present. And because we know when we're having a great time, we're completely present. When we're present, time starts to become timeless.
This exercise, mastering the moment and concentrating on that, as you said, that space inside your body, the air kind of right there with you, is something that I employ as I'm trying to spin down and go to sleep. And then that with some breathing and counting. I mean, this stuff works in a major way.
I'm so interested in this, Mitchell, real quick, because I want to go back to number one, the bridge to know. Was it you that told us recently in one of your visits that we got to stop saying I'm sorry? Because, it kind of falls in that same category. If you're always saying, well, I'm sorry. No. Be positive about things.
Absolutely. We always want to take advantage point of saying yes to ourselves. We always want to take the vantage point that we know what is best for us. And when we give ourselves that space, that gentleness, when instead of berating ourselves and being hard on ourselves, when we take a step back, and particularly in bridging to know, in the first step, start asking questions about our behavior. So in your example, why am I always apologizing? What do I get out of apologizing? What does that bring me? And we start to get curious about it. Like Jeff said, we start to create space, and only in blank space can a new answer emerge. And once we have a new answer, we can start to step forward in a new way.
And you never get to stay in that blank space for all that long, but when you're there, the clarity that comes from it is really helpful. Mitchell, number two, let it go. This is one of those things I find often with things maybe around the home, right? Those chores and things you need to do, putting the dishwasher away, folding the laundry, all of those things. And there are ways we all like to do those things, right? You like to fill the dishwasher a certain way. Don't laugh. Fold the towels a certain way. Yes. Yeah. But if only one person knows how to do it, guess what? Then nobody else can help. So you got to let it go, and other hands can help.
And they might actually do it a little different than you.
And guess what? We might all learn from that.
Yeah.
And then I might get a couple extra minutes in the day.
Boom.
And that's the goal, really, isn't it?
Mitchell, it's mind-bending. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Always great to share those insights with Mitchell, because he helps us think things through that we hadn't even thought about before. So we appreciate you.
No kidding. As he said this, running around with my hair on fire today. Yeah. I'm going to put all of these into play and find that extra time. For more information on this topic or the services Mitchell Creasy provides, you can check out our website by early this afternoon, virginiathismorning.com. We'll have a direct link right there. Mitchell's going to hang out with us. We're going to check in with him later on this morning. I'm going to put some of these to use, Mitchell, and we'll see if we feel like we've created that pocket.
Looking forward to that. All right.
All right. Well, I'm feeling good about it.
Yeah, it is so interesting when we have somebody like Mitchell on who gives us some guidance. And it's just, a different perspective on how we go about everything we do every day. And, I'm a big fan of comedians. And the best comedians are always the ones that look at something in life and go, why do we hold the coffee cup like this? Or why don't we hold it like that? And it's just those everyday little things like, that's a different way to do that. And other people do it differently than you do. And if you can pick up on that, you might like the different way. Mm-hmm. You got to pay attention.
Mm-hmm. What do you, let me say that again.
Okay.
Do you ever get spun up? Do you, when you've got
oh, yeah.
So what do you do? What do you do to
Well, I've been accused of the person who can never sit still.
Ooh, I get that a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always on the move. I'm always doing something, blah, blah, blah. And I get, speaking of spun up, once I'm in there, it's like, let's get it done. And I rush myself, and it doesn't turn out as well as I'd like, because I'm trying to get it done. And what I've tried to do later in life is to slow down, take a breath, and say, I can get back to that tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And we will too. Mm-hmm. We'll get back to that in just a few minutes,
Just a few minutes, we'll be right back.
All right, I gotta do it.